From the beautiful heights of Berlin, welcome to the GC engine. No, just kidding. Let's get into the bottom bracket.
All right, just real quick before we get into this magical bottom bracket, let me know in the comments, are you waving at other cyclists when you're out on a ride? Or do you think that's stupid? Drop a waving hand emoji or a clown if you think it's stupid to wave at other people because it messes with your aero gains. Okay, now to the bottom bracket.
What's up everyone? Welcome to another episode. Today we're gonna be updating the bottom bracket on this beautiful Bossy Strada SS. So this one so far has actually quite a good bottom bracket built in. Something and actually one that I can't really complain about, and it is a Kogel bottom bracket, a T47, a beautiful one that actually runs quite smoothly. But then recently I found out about a new company which is called BIKON. I hope that that's how you pronounce it, BIKON. And it is actually the company who does the bottom brackets for the UAE team. So yeah, Tadej Pogacar is riding this bottom bracket. And yeah, they have been so kind to send over a bottom bracket because they're claiming, at least I think so, that you can save up to 20% of power using their bottom bracket. So I guess interesting there what the reference is. I guess the reference isn't really a Kogel bottom bracket, which is already one of the high-end bottom brackets out there, but maybe something like a classical Shimano bottom bracket. But what intrigued me in yeah, trying out this bottom bracket is its design. It is actually a one-piece, I think aluminum design, and I had a little bit of a difficulty here when I was building up my Bossy. I have the rear brake hose going through the bottom bracket area, and the design of the Kogel bottom bracket is that it has this plastic inner sleeve out of two components, and I had the hose pushing against it, so it was very hard to like fit and match the two tunnels or the two sleeves together while installing it. So yeah, I thought that with this one piece design, this should actually be no problem, and it actually has a couple of other interesting features on top of that as well. So let's quickly touch on those. So first of all, I feel that this bottom bracket has pretty much seals everywhere. So I mean, you have a seal here where the crank axle goes through, then you have this nice cup here. You have of course sealed ceramic bearings, also nicely greased up to hold any water away from it. You also have a little stepped protector ring to also additionally keep moisture away from here. And then on the other side, I mean, we're going to talk about that shape in a second and how to install it. And on the other side, let me take this off, you have, yeah, this this slightly diagonal shape here. And then there are a couple of parts that yeah, come together here. So there's this part out of, I would say, rather plasticky material, and this one sits on top of here. And then you have this ring that screws into your frame, and it also has a slight angle inside here. And I would assume that when these are pressing together, because they're angled, they kind of, yeah, they center themselves, I think. So I assume that that's the reason why. But coming back to the seals, you also have another seal in here, and of course the seals and the nicely greased up bearings up in here, and also with a stepped cover in here. And if that wouldn't be enough already, there's also a little bag in the box as well, which says seals for wet conditions. So as winter is coming up, I'm going to be riding this bottom bracket in the wet. So there are two additional rings in here, so which are additionally adding protection to the bearings. So you take one on each side, you basically just insert them on top here, nicely push them in, and then put the cover on top back here. There you go. And that additionally protects the bearings from any water even getting close to the ball bearings itself. And then same thing here also on the other side, putting that little seal in here and then covering it up. There you go. So now it's yeah, nicely weather sealed. And of course, if that wouldn't be enough, you also get a nice manual with it that shows you where to put additional grease when installing it. So yeah, you have to put also additional grease on every surface that you also see here on this side to, yeah, increase or decrease the chances of getting water anywhere close. So let's talk quickly about the shape of this mount and of this bottom bracket. How are you gonna install this? So this bottom bracket also comes with a beautiful tool, which on this side maybe looks quite familiar, because this is also how you're going to be installing, there we go, how you're going to be installing this side of the bottom bracket. But the other side you install with the opposite side of that tool. So that goes in here, and then you push it in and you can install it this way. I'm pulling out that cover as well, so you see how nicely it's actually snug fitting. So yeah, and this tool you just put on your torque wrench. You also should follow the torque instructions that are coming in the manual, because they're a little bit different than with a regular bottom bracket, because so far the bottom brackets that I was installing always had a 40 Newton meter torque standard. And this one, let me check so I'm not gonna lie, it is actually 35 Newton meters on the drive side, and then only 10 Newton meters on the non-drive side. So yeah, something to keep in mind while installing it. But before you can install it, I'm quickly going to take out the crankset and then uninstall the Kogel bottom bracket, and then we see each other in a second installing this beauty. So let's go. Sorry for the dirty bike, but I was just out yesterday. There we go. There we go. And you see, for example, the inner sleeve now just remained in the frame. So let me get that out. There you go. So this is the dual-sided inner sleeve that I was talking about. That was a little bit hard to, yeah, to get those both sides match. Yeah, because that brake hose was pushing against it from the bottom. So different to what I said in the beginning, this side is actually going into the non-drive side. So yeah, I mixed these things slightly up. So I'm gonna grease this now up real nice, and then yeah, install it on the non-drive side, and then we're gonna see each other in a second on the drive side, where it's gonna be a little bit more interesting with all those little parts that are gonna go on this side of the bottom bracket. So let's go install. And now I'm gonna push this through here. The challenge is gonna be to push it around this little brake hose. That should be possible. There we go. And now we screw this in which way? This way. Okay, so first just by hand, making sure that it's going in easy to not cross thread anything. But so far I'm just tightening it up just with my fingers, and we see it coming through nicely on this side. All right, that already looks quite promising. So I'm going to tighten it as much as I can by hand, and now we're going to torque it up. So torque wrench set to 35 Newton meters. Now let's get to the more interesting side. So what goes on first here is this little centering ring. Also needs to be nicely greased up from the outside as well as from the inside. So I place this on top here. So also here, for the other side of the bottom bracket mount, we also got to grease it on the inside. I know that's a lot of grease. I'm gonna clean it up afterwards, but I'd rather have a bit too much grease than too little. Okay, and then also the threads on the outside. And that's now going in here. Just into this direction. There we go. So it already goes in very easy just by hand. So now we can use this tool put it on here, and now screw this one in. Now I feel a little bit of resistance, so I guess that's when the centering is happening. So I think until now this is as far as I can go by hand. So let me take this one out. We're going to install this in a second. This way this tool just slides in better. So unfortunately this torque wrench only goes down to 20 Newton meters and we only need 10. I mean, luckily I've done enough torquing up of bolts in the meantime, so I know how much to apply here roughly. So it's not going to be super tight, so that's supposed to be good. Looks very clean. All right, let's see how easy we're now gonna get the cranks in. All right, so greasing up the cranks on the crank arm. Let's see if it's gonna go through smoothly and easily. Nice, but it is a tight, very tight fit, but looking good. So now on here, I'm going to take this little spacer that I also had in the Kogel setup. Let's see if we also going to need it here. So this was way easier than I thought it would be, given that yeah, the bottom bracket had a couple more components than some other bottom brackets have. But yeah, it was actually way easier to install than the Kogel one, given the issue with the brake hose in the bottom. Unfortunately, I can't really do a proper spin test without now disconnecting the chain. And even here with the rubbing chain, you see it is looking quite good. Let me get some more light there.
I love it when you wave to somebody on the bike in the morning and you get a nice back. So German. But now that winter is coming up and a rather wet season outdoors, you might say that, hey Michael, are you stupid installing such an expensive bottom bracket where it's gonna get wet and salty? Let me know what you think in the comments, because my train of thought here was that this bottom bracket is having so many seals everywhere. It seems so hard for water to get really into those bearings that it is kind of made for the wet and salty season. And yeah, shouldn't have any struggle and any issues with yeah, easily making it through this winter season and still perform at 100% next summer. Let me know what you think. As expected, it feels buttery smooth, no creaks, no anything. I can obviously feel I'm 20% faster than before. No, I'm just kidding. But there could be, of course, a placebo effect to it, but it really feels as smooth as it gets. So, not that the Kogel one felt bad, but as I said, placebo might be kicking in here, and in the end, it doesn't matter. If you think you're faster, you might be putting more effort in, and you might actually be faster. So I think this bottom bracket actually does a really good job here for me. I'm very happy.
So this, as I said, went way easier than I thought it would be. And yeah, just so you know, this bottom bracket is called their PowerSet. So this is like their top of the line product in their portfolio. It also only exists in T47 and for Shimano cranks, as far as I know. And yeah, if you're interested in a bottom bracket from yeah, the company that makes the UAE team bottom brackets, but don't want to spend all that money, they also have a different category of bottom brackets, which are called the dual cup bottom brackets. So it's not as the the name says, a single piece of metal as bottom bracket, but you have two cups that fit into each other. They're also made out of metal, and there you have also a wider variety than just T47 and just Shimano. You can also find Dub and I think even BSA in there as a selection. So that's I would say that's gonna be it for this episode. If you're not subscribing yet and you've watched until this very moment, I think you might be interested in some other episodes that are coming up, and I can see that the majority of you is actually not subscribed to this channel. So yeah, if you want to support me without paying anything, then yeah, hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel a lot, and it will also help me to yeah, come up with more projects in the future. So with that, I'll say thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.